Petoskey, Michigan is a charming, historic town located on the shores of Little Traverse Bay. Sounds like a dream, right? But what if I told you there were some serious pitfalls despite the small town magic? In today's video, I'm breaking down the 5 reasons I would personally never move to Petoskey. And before the comments section explodes, I love living in Petoskey. My office is downtown, and I've actually lived here for a very long time. Not to mention, I'm constantly helping people buy and sell homes right here in Petoskey. But if I were choosing a place to live year-round again, I might not choose Petoskey, and here's why. My name is Gino D'Angelo, and I've been helping people explore and buy and sell in Northern Michigan for over 20 years. I've toured every back road, explored every lake, and had conversations with thousands and thousands of people to help them determine if Northern Michigan is the right place for them to relocate. My job isn't to sugarcoat it. It's to give you the honest truth about what it's really like to live in Northern Michigan. That way, you can make a confident decision whether Northern Michigan is right for you. Petoskey is an amazing lifestyle for a lot of people. And today, I'm giving you the full picture of what it's really like to live here, especially if you're considering making it your full-time home. Now, let's get into it. Reason number 1 is the cost of living is surprisingly high. Petoskey may look like the postcard perfect lake town, but when it comes to the cost of living, it's more of a luxury destination than a small town secret. As of 2025, the median home price in Petoskey has crossed over $500,000. And that's for a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath home just a few blocks from downtown. That doesn't include any water view or high-end finishes. If you're eyeing a newer home with views or something that's been a little bit more updated, expect to spend well over $600,000. And that's before bidding wars. One of the hardest things to digest when thinking about relocating to Petoskey and looking at current home prices is that just 5 years ago, you could have purchased these houses for half of what they're going for today. And I'm often asked what has caused prices to skyrocket so much in Petoskey. And I truly believe there's 3 reasons. 1, people have always wanted to relocate and retire in Northern Michigan. 2, anybody that is able to work remotely has chosen to do so in Petoskey, so it seems. And 3, although they are not allowed downtown, there has been an uptick in short-term rentals, which is taking inventory off the market that would otherwise be available for homeowners to purchase. Now, if you are relocating to Petoskey because you want to see sunsets and sunrises right from your very own porch, expect to spend anywhere between $900,000 all the way up to $3 million. Newer homes with a tremendous lake view that have been updated command a premium here in Petoskey. They're few and far between, and every time one comes on the market, they get gobbled up in a bidding war and go for incredibly high prices. And something to consider when buying a home is it's not just the cost of the home that you have to account for in your budget. There's things like insurance, property tax, and even utility costs. Speaking of heating costs, with as cold as our winters get, you can expect to spend anywhere between $350 and $500 on the high end for your heating costs in the wintertime. Water bills, on the other hand, average between $80 and $120 per month if you're located within the city limits. If you're outside of the city limits, chances are you have a well and septic, which do not require a monthly bill, however, do come with some maintenance charges. For the wells, once in a while, the well pumps break, and those are between $1,500 and $2,000 to fix. And as far as septic goes, you're going to want to have those pumped every couple of years, and that's usually $200 or $300 a pop. Overall, it is still more affordable to have a well and septic than to pay for city water and sewer. And let's face it, if you live in Petoskey, you're going to want to experience the local shops and restaurants. That's where the monthly expenses can really start to add up. If you go out for dinner and drinks at Chandler's or one of the other fine dining establishments in Petoskey, plan to spend anywhere between $150 and $200. Even a beer and a burger at Tap 30 could run you $30 to $35. And if you like coffee as much as I do, you're going to be frequenting North Perk and Roast and Toast often. If you like lattes, plan to spend anywhere between $10 and $15. And if you're like me and just prefer black coffee, that's a lot cheaper at $3 to $4. Even gas here is more expensive than in other areas. Plan to spend anywhere between 50 and 80 cents more per gallon for a gallon of gas right here in Petoskey. Reason number 2 is Petoskey is a resort town that does come with some downsides. Although Petoskey has become more of a place for people to relocate and live here full time, it is still a resort town which relies on tourism between Memorial Day and Labor Day. During that time, Petoskey transforms from a quiet community to a buzzing vacation hub, and that change is intense. When I'm walking around the streets in Petoskey in the summertime, it is not uncommon to see more out-of-area license plates than you do see Michigan license plates. Some of the favorite tourist destinations are Julian Tomatoes, which is one of the best brunch spots in downtown Petoskey, Petoskey Brewing, which is a favorite for after the beach, and Petoskey State Park, which can fill up by 10 a.m. in the summertime. Even Meyer, located on US 31, just south of town, turns into chaos in the summertime, especially on Friday afternoons. Now, locals like myself know it's better to grocery shop between 5 and 8 during the week than wait for everybody to come into town on the weekends and cause Meyer to become a zoo. Also, if you're thinking about going out to a restaurant in the summertime, places like City Park and Palette Bistro book up well in advance, so you want to make sure you get your reservations as early as possible. When talking about how busy Petoskey gets in the summertime, it's not just the crowds, it's also the parking. Then the off-season hits and it all swings in the other direction. Come January, some businesses even close down for the winter or drastically reduce their hours. American Spoon, right here in downtown Petoskey, shuts down for the winter. Maple and Batter, located in Bay Harbor, is also only open on the weekends during the off-season. Even indoor venues like the Kirkatry Art Center cut their scheduling way back in the wintertime. Need specialty groceries or a wider dining scene? You're heading to Traverse City, which is about 70 minutes away, or a little bit closer, which is Gaylord, that's about 50 minutes away. So yes, summer is electric in Petoskey, but the seasonal pendulum can feel extreme if you crave consistency. In fact, we noticed this even in the real estate business. We are slammed busy during the spring, summer, and fall months, and then becomes a ghost town during the winter. Reason number 3 is limited job opportunities. Now, I'm fortunate to have a great career that allows me to live right here in downtown Petoskey, but others are not so lucky. There simply isn't a strong base of high-quality year-round jobs. Let's talk about some of the strongest local employees. First and foremost is the hospital. McLaren, Northern Michigan employs thousands and thousands of people. In fact, you may be watching this video because you're thinking about relocating here to work at the hospital. North Central Michigan College is another huge employer. We're very lucky to have quality post-high school education right here in Petoskey. Also, there are a lot of high-quality builders and other vendors that support the housing industry, which offer great jobs to people wanting to work right here in Northern Michigan. But if you're looking for a white-collar job in finance, software, or investing, you may have to look at a larger area such as Traverse City. There simply aren't that many of those types of jobs here in Petoskey. In fact, I believe this is why we saw a boom in people moving to Petoskey once remote work gained popularity. Forever, a lot of people have wanted to live in Petoskey year-round, but we simply did not have the jobs to support that dream. Now, with individuals having the ability to work for companies that are not located in Petoskey while living in Petoskey has caused a rush in people choosing to do so. It seemed like directly after COVID, most every conversation I had about somebody relocating to Petoskey or other parts of Northern Michigan was because they were able to work remotely. And adding to the fact is Petoskey has a lot more internet coverage than it once did. For a long time, some of the most rural parts of Petoskey did not have internet. Now, with the rise in fiber optic, some of those areas have actually better internet than we do here in downtown Petoskey. Reason number 4 is winter is long, cold, and gray. If you're not into winter, like really into winter, Petoskey might not be right for you. This region gets about 150 inches of snow annually. This is thanks to lake effect snow, which turns the beautiful water that we love to look at into snow-making machines. We often have snow by the end of October that does not leave until April or May. That's up to 6 months of shoveling, snow blowing, and scraping your windshields. Now, I personally love winter in Northern Michigan. One of my favorite things to do is snowboard with my friends and family at the Highlands located in Harbor Springs. A lot of people love Nub's Knob, which is located directly across the street. And we have one of the most popular ski resorts in the Midwest, Boyne Mountain, located just 15 minutes south of Petoskey in Boyne Falls. I'm often asked how much it costs for a day pass to ski at one of the local ski resorts. And I'll tell you, the prices vary, so it's best to check out their websites. Typically, ski passes run anywhere from $90 to $120, but often double around the holidays. Snowshoeing is another local favorite. There are so many different places that you can snowshoe in Northern Michigan during the winter months. In fact, there are countless golf courses that allow you to snowshoe on the course during the wintertime. One of my favorite is Avalanche Mountain, located in Boyne City, which is about 20 minutes away from Petoskey. Once you get to the top, you have some of the most breathtaking views of Lake Charlotte. While fishing is a favorite hobby in the summertime, when that water freezes and turns hard in the wintertime, many fishermen love to ice fish. They set up their shanties, cut a hole in the ice, and wait for their line to ding, telling them that dinner is on the way. Now, while I love snow, I understand many of you don't. So let's get into the reality of what you'll be dealing with to make it through the winter. Be prepared to clear your driveway 3 to 4 times a week. And during heavy snowstorms, plan to clear it 3 to 4 times per day. A lot of people here either have tractors or snowblowers or hire one of the local contractors to plow their driveway. That is a cost that you're going to have to take into account when living in northern Michigan full time. Also, seasonal depression is real. After not seeing the sun for months and being cooped up in your house, cabin fever definitely starts to set in. A lot of people in northern Michigan travel during the winter months. They do this both to see new places and to get a solid dose of vitamin D. Locals invest in UV lamps, 4-wheel drive, and storm windows just to get through the winter. If that sounds extreme, it's because it is. Reason number 5, housing inventory is very tight, especially for locals. Here's the reality. Petoskey has a housing shortage. A lot of the inventory is scooped up by second home buyers who live in Chicago, Detroit, or even Florida that want to make northern Michigan their residence in the summertime. One of the definite downsides to being in a resort area in terms of housing is there are always people that are willing to pay a premium to have housing here on a short-term basis. I do hear comments from locals about how hard it is to see a lot of these homes vacant year-round when there are so many people that need housing in northern Michigan. Another issue with the housing in Petoskey is that a lot of the high-quality communities have HOAs that come with HOA fees. There is also very little new construction happening in Petoskey. That is because the cost to build right now is so incredibly high that the numbers don't make sense for builders to build spec houses, especially when there's so many people wanting to build massive custom homes here in Petoskey. I'm often asked what the price per square foot is in Petoskey, and while that's a tough question to answer without knowing your exact situation, I would tell you it starts at $400 to $500 per square foot, which is more than double what it was just 5 years ago. Now, while we don't have a ton of them, we are seeing some new construction pop up in the area, but those houses range from $500,000 to $750,000 and sometimes even higher. That's why more locals, especially first-time home buyers or even move-up buyers, are turning towards towns like Boyne City, Sheboygan, or Gaylord. Petoskey is incredible, but getting in, that's the hard part. So there you have it, the 5 honest reasons of why I would not buy in Petoskey. Well, at least right now. Between the high cost of living, the seasonal surges in activity, the brutal winters in the tight housing market, Petoskey can be a tough place to settle down full time, unless the stars align just right for you. That being said, if you've got a remote job or were able to find one of the few high-paying jobs in Petoskey and happen to love snow and don't mind the seasonal swing, Petoskey might be your dream come true. Because let's face it, there is still a reason that Petoskey is in high demand. The lifestyle, the view of the water, the endless outdoor activities mixed with the community connection make Petoskey one of the most special places you could ever live. But if you're on the fence about living in Petoskey or one of the other towns right here in northern Michigan, I would love to be your resource of choice. Please reach out to me directly at 231-487-6141, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about northern Michigan. And if you're wondering what other areas to consider when thinking about relocating to northern Michigan, make sure you check out my next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.